When managing projects within the FlexiProject system, it's quite common to encounter scenarios where various projects are inherently interdependent. For instance, we can easily envision a situation where progressing to the subsequent phase in one particular project is entirely contingent upon the successful completion of specific tasks within a separate, related project. In the FlexiProject system, the program's feature allows for the creation of shared schedules across various projects, as well as defining dependencies between interdependent projects. This provides the capability to establish interdependencies that will also mutually influence each other. When one project task is delayed, its dependent tasks are also affected. Let's see this in action. Navigate to the Program tab in the system. Users who possess a full license will be granted access to this specific tab. Let's examine the specific permissions and how access to project management programs is configured. For a user with a full license, the Programs tab will be visible, offering 3 distinct permission options. A member, who will only be able to view the project specifically assigned to them. A creator, who will be able to view programs assigned to them, but also create new ones. And an administrator, meaning a person who will have absolute access to all programs. I currently have administrator functions, so I see all programs that are in my organization. Let's see how the creation of a new program looks in practice. I'm creating a new program, and I'll start by giving it a name. In the next step, the system will prompt me to choose the projects that are to be included in this program. As I've already mentioned, this will often involve projects that are somehow related to each other. I want to create a program that includes both our ongoing optimization projects and new development initiatives. From this combined portfolio, I will then select a few specific, closely interconnected projects to manage within this program. Then I add them and save this view. As you can see, a consolidated schedule for all selected projects is generated here. Since some projects, like 360 Efficient Resource Management, are still in the idea phase, I will only see the project entry itself, without any detailed tasks yet. However, if we were to collapse the entire list and then proceed to expand each of the individual tasks, we would then observe that there is a comprehensive schedule presented here. With this button, we can expand all tasks. In this view, I can, just as in the task list, remove or hide columns to work more efficiently. Using filters, I can search for specific task owners across all projects or sort, and filter tasks by their status. The task view will also be visible in the Gantt chart view. Perhaps I'll show this in a slightly more condensed form. We can see that all tasks and phases are clearly defined. We also have dependencies marked within the projects themselves. But we were discussing a situation where these interdependencies occur between different projects. So let's establish the dependencies between these particular projects. If, for instance, phase number 5 is going to be dependent on a different phase, I will add a dependency by selecting to add a dependency from another project. Here I select the project that I would like to link this phase with. For example, I have a project called Digitalization of Reporting Process. Here I can indicate which specific element it will be associated with. Let's consider that with phase 4, the actual implementation, and we're looking at a very strict difference between these 2 distinct elements, which amounts to a period of 3 full days. I might add one more dependency. In this case, I will return to my schedule and specify that for the process development task in the Customer Service Optimization project, phase number 3 will also depend on a specific element from a different project, namely, the project called Dirty and Clone Zone Separation. I am selecting the specific schedule item that needs to be linked, marking it as directly related to the final closure of the entire project. After that, I will click the Save button. Now, in the Gantt chart view, we can clearly see that the dependencies have been successfully established between these projects. Currently, the system only indicates that a dependency exists. For these connections to actively influence the schedule, meaning the timing differences between phases are enforced and recalculated, we need to use the Recalculate Dependencies button. After clicking, the system will recalculate our schedules based on the established dependencies. After clicking Recalculate Dependencies, the system will show me which elements are affected. The elements highlighted with a black border show how the schedule originally appeared. In this section, we will see how the schedule will look after the changes are accepted. We can see there's a shift here, but I also have other dependencies. I can see that these items do not currently affect each other. Therefore, the entire designated task area will be adjusted accordingly. The system will also clearly highlight in red, within the list view, all the specific elements where these changes will take place. Regarding the project's start date, completion date, and total duration, the system displays the original date on the left and the adjusted date resulting from the dependency recalculation on the right. It also clearly shows how the overall timeline for the project or task will change. As you can see, all these details are presented very clearly in this section. Here, our project timeline is being extended to 304 days, a significant change. These changes are not yet saved. The system shows a preview of the new schedule. To apply the changes, click Save. To simplify, you can filter the view to show only the tasks that will be affected. This provides a clear and precise overview of the modifications. It's important to remember that saving this new schedule is irreversible, and it will recalculate all our dependencies. I want that to happen. I have reviewed this thoroughly, and I fully accept these changes. Once you click Save, our schedule changes, and these dependencies are recalculated and defined accordingly. What if we have projects that appear in several different programs? A single project might be part of multiple programs. It's important to note that the schedule will only be recalculated for our specific program. So, if we have projects that overlap, I see that something of this nature has occurred here. I can see if there will also be any changes in this program. As I see, it will indeed be so. But this is now the decision of the person in charge of this program. Whether these dependencies are recalculated, the fact that I recalculated them in my new program only affects the schedule, the overall schedule of that very program. Here, I would also like to point out that while managing our program, I have options in the settings to rename it, delete it, or manage access permissions. If I click here, I can see all users who have access to this program, based on their administrative settings. However, if I want to add another individual, for example, my colleague Emma Evans, I can select her and then grant her the appropriate permissions. This means she could either have viewing permissions, allowing her to simply preview the content of this program, or she could also have full editing capabilities. It's important to remember that granting edit permissions allows a user to delete, rename, and recalculate dependencies, while view only offers a visual representation of the schedule without the ability to make changes. I want my colleague to have only view access for this program. The fact that the dependency recalculation impacted the schedule will be clearly recorded in the history. For instance, if I navigate to the assembly process automation project and then display its history, I can observe that the schedule underwent a change due to the recalculation of dependencies within the program. I can also precisely identify which specific elements of the schedule were impacted by this. So, I have the complete recorded history right here. For instance, if I were to check phase number 5, its history would also clearly indicate that the date has been modified. Thus, we also maintain a historical overview of all events that have transpired within our system. That concludes our discussion regarding program management within our system. I encourage you all to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and try using the program management software features for yourselves, especially by building a comprehensive shared schedule for multiple projects. It will certainly streamline your work. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.